Well, Paul, this would be significant. A senior official with the military alliance telling Bloomberg News that NATO is discussing the possibility of helping secure ships' safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. We should say that this has support from several members of the alliance, but at this point, not full unanimous support that would be necessary in order for NATO to deploy military assets. But it comes as so far the alliance has been wary at best of President Trump's calls to have allies help secure the Strait of Hormuz. We've often heard that many of them want to see a stop in the fighting, a stronger ceasefire in place, because I think it's fair to say at the moment the ceasefire is very tenuous and very fragile. Now, this would be significant, and it's going to put more focus on the annual NATO meeting that's happening in Turkey in July, because President Trump has ramped up his threat since the conflict with Iran has started that he could pull out of the NATO military alliance. So that may be easier said than done. Legislation passed by Congress in 2023 forbids any president from withdrawing from the NATO alliance without 2/3 of support in the Senate. But Paul and Scarlett, we know that it's straining the transatlantic alliance, and there's other things that President Trump could do. For example, he could recall the U.S. ambassador to NATO, or he could cancel American involvement in joint military exercises. So definitely something to watch.
Definitely something to watch. And as you pointed out, NATO had wanted to see an end to the conflict. And if anything, they have insisted that they only really want to be involved in the Strait of Hormuz once fighting has stopped. So the fact that they're now considering any kind of deployment if the strait's not open by July would seem to indicate that they're giving President Trump kind of what he wants, which is NATO stepping in to do more, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the right read on this, though. Again, we should caution that no decision has quite been made yet, but it does come as President Trump has been making this outreach to other countries, right? He just came back from his travel to Beijing. Right now, Russian President Vladimir Putin is in Beijing. So there's a lot of heightened focus here when it comes to alliances. So we'll see where it ultimately goes from here, because President Trump has previously fumed about how some members of NATO have rejected his calls when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. Though, Scarlett, at the moment, the strait does remain effectively shut. Yesterday, we just heard from CENTCOM confirming that nearly 88 ships have been redirected by the U.S. who have tried to transit through the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. says that its naval blockade isn't going anywhere until a fuller deal is reached with Iran. And at this point, we haven't really gotten indications that we are any closer towards that happening.
Tyler, the news on Wall Street today is the movement in the bond market. We have rates higher yet again today in the bond market here. Is there any sense that the White House and this president is sensitive to what's happening in the financial markets as it relates to perhaps this war in Iran?
That's an interesting question. We've previously seen President Trump be sensitive to the markets, right, Paul? When it comes to the oil market in particular, that we've seen the administration try to keep and tamp down rising fuel costs. Just yesterday, we had the Treasury Department announcing this new license for a temporary allowal to buy purchases of Russian barrels that are already loaded onto tankers and at sea to get more of the oil supply to the global market, because we know that the administration is coming under pressure from the market, but also from consumers and Americans as they head to the polls this week for a slew of primaries in a flurry of states, and affordability and the cost of living remains that top concern. Just yesterday, there was reporting from Iranian state media that the administration could be looking at lifting Iranian sanctions temporarily. Doesn't seem like that's happening. A White House official did dispute that report, but we're going to watch closely, as the president said when he was coming back from Asia, that maybe he would consider lifting sanctions on Chinese oil refiners linked to Iranian crude. So again, something to watch, but very clear that the administration has their eyes on this.